This video is a presentation of My English Professor at YouTube. I am Nuala Mary Linka, aka Nunu, your friendly teacher guide. All right, let's get started. An introduction to Modern Language Association MLA format, 8th edition. How to 1. Format short and block quotes. 2. Create parenthetical citations in a works cited. How to format short quotes. A short quote from a newspaper or journal article or book is fewer than 4 typewritten lines, a keyword or words a part of a sentence or 1 to 3 sentences, integrated into the text, writing in an essay, introduced appropriately, articles, author's complete name, first and last name, the article title in quotation marks, the publication title in italics, and the publication date. Books, the author's complete name, first and last name, the book title in italics, and the publication date. Note, article and book titles are capitalized in the exact same way the author capitalized them. A short quote may be followed by a parenthetical citation. Information in parentheses after the quote identifying where the quote is located in the text. A page number if a text is paginated, or a paragraph number, but only if a text is short, 1 to 3 pages, so paragraphs can be easily counted. And these are what these parenthetical citations would look like. A quote with just the page number, and a quote with PAR for paragraph with a period and the number of the paragraph. Okay, so these are examples of short quotes. And I'm bringing up our Apple on the screen, which from now on will be assigned to you to pause the video and to read the examples, the additional information on the screen. I cannot read it to you because we have a time limit on this video. Okay, moving on. Short quote, paraphrase passage, exception to rule. If you are using only one short quote or paraphrase passage from a newspaper or journal article, and the publication is credible, what does this mean? Credible means authoritative, respected, you can trust the source, the publication. Then you can list only the publication title and the article's publication date, as long as the author is identified in a parenthetical citation at the end of the quote or paraphrase passage. So you would have the author's name in parentheses. If a work is paginated, it has page numbers, include the page number, and if it's not paginated, doesn't have page numbers, but is short from 1 to 3 pages, then count the paragraphs and include the paragraph number. And this is an example of parenthetical citations. Let's pause for a moment and look at the word paraphrased. What does this mean? When you paraphrase something, you put it into your own words. So if you paraphrase a writer's thoughts or ideas, it still is treated like a quote in many ways, and we'll learn about this. But now on to our exception to the rule. We have our examples that have come up on the screen, and our Apple, which is assigned to you to pause the screen and read this information. All right, moving on. How to format block quotes. A block quote from a newspaper or journal article or book is 4 or more typewritten lines, double-spaced with no quotation marks, indented 5 spaces, 1 tab from the left margin, and separated from the text of an essay so it forms its own paragraph. Introduced appropriately. So articles, the author's complete name, first and last name, the article title in quotation marks, the publication title in italics, and the publication date. Books, the author's complete name, first and last name, the book title in italics, and the publication date. Note, article and book titles are capitalized in the exact same way the author capitalized them. A block quote may be followed by a parenthetical citation. Information in parentheses after the quote identifying where the quote is located in the text or writing. a page number if a text is paginated, has numbers, or a paragraph number, but only if a text is short, 1 to 3 pages, so paragraphs can be easily counted, and these are what the citations look like. Okay, and here is our example of a block quote right here, and we're going to bring up our Apple on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video so you can read this information. All right, moving on. Warning, block quotes. Do not use lengthy quotes in an essay or term paper to try to meet the required word count. Only use a block quote if you need a block quote. If you add unnecessarily lengthy quotes to your essay or term paper, then the teacher may label these quotes filler. You're trying to fill your paper to meet the required word count, and your grade may be lowered. Okay, so our Apple comes up on the screen, assigned to you that you can pause the video to review this warning about block quotes if you need to. All right, moving on. Short and block quotes together. In a paragraph, you can include more than one quote from the same source, so from the same article or book, and also juxtapose, compare quotes, put them side by side or in the same paragraph, these quotes from different sources, different articles, different books. However, make sure you clearly identify sources, and once you appropriately identify an author and text, the writing by complete name and title, refer to the author by last name and to a longer text title by a keyword or words. And so here we have examples of short and block quotes together, and our Apple has come up on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video so you can read this information. All right, moving on. How to create parenthetical citations in a works cited. A parenthetical citation follows a quote or paraphrased passage in a paper. Each parenthetical citation is linked to a works cited at the end of every paper. The works cited is an alphabetized double-spaced list of every source used in a paper. In a citation, any lines following the first line are indented 5 spaces. So we have an example of that here with the works cited, and we see that after the first line, all the other lines in a works cited are are indented 5 spaces. Okay, so let's bring our Apple up on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video and to study this information. All right, moving on. Parenthetical citations, 2 purposes. Purpose 1, to identify the author of a quote or paraphrased passage only when the author is not identified in the text of a paper. All right, so we brought our Apple up on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video and read this information, to study it. All right, moving on. Parenthetical citations, 2 purposes. Purpose 2, to identify in which line, paragraph, page, or website section a quoted or paraphrased passage is located in a text when this information is available. And so we have our quotes for you to study. We brought our Apple up onto the screen, assigned to you to pause the video and study this information. All right, moving on. Quotes and citations, 4 rules. Rule 1. In short quotes and paraphrased passages ending in a period, the period comes after the parenthetical citation. Okay, so we have our Apple on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video and review this information. All right, moving on. Quotes and citations, 4 rules. Rule 2. In short quotes and paraphrased passages ending in a question mark or exclamation mark, the question mark or exclamation mark is tucked inside the end quote, and no punctuation mark follows the parenthetical citation. So we have our examples brought up on the screen. Our Apple, which is assigned to you to pause the video and review this information. All right, moving on. Quotes and citations, 4 rules. Rule 3. In block quotes, the parenthetical citation comes after the last end mark in the quote, the period, question mark, or exclamation mark that the quote ends in. And we have our example here on the screen. And we brought up our apple assigned to you to pause the video so you can review this information. All right, moving on. Quotes and citations, 4 rules. Rule 4, when an organization and not an individual is the author of a text that is quoted or paraphrased, then a parenthetical citation with the text title in quotation marks must follow the quoted or paraphrased passage. Longer text titles can be abbreviated to keywords. Okay, so our examples have come up on the screen, and our apple, which is assigned to you to pause the video and review this information. Parenthetical citations and works cited resources. Consult a good Modern Language Association, MLA, online writing lab, OWL, such as Purdue's MLA OWL, for help with parenthetical citations and the works cited, as not all citations are formatted the same way. You can also use websites like Works Cited for You, which generates free citations, and Paste Library databases, which contain ready-made citations for most database sources. Okay, and our apple has come up on the screen, assigned to you to pause the video if you need to review this information. 6 screens, standard parenthetical and works cited citations. Following are 6 screens with information about standard, common, parenthetical, and works cited citations. I will not read these screens as this video has a time limit. However, please study them on your own by pausing the video and reading the information each screen contains. So, a journal article located in a database. Pause the screen. We have our apple here and review the information. A website article located on the internet with an organization as the author. We have our apple. Pause the screen and review this information. A newspaper article located on the internet. Our apple comes up. Pause the screen and review this information. A book on the internet. Here's our apple. Pause the video, pause the screen, and review this information. A print book, and here comes our apple. Pause the screen, pause the video, and review this information. A poem in a website, and here comes our apple. Again, pause the video, pause the screen to review this information. So, how does one learn to quote, paraphrase, and cite in essays? Well, you know the answer to that. How does one learn to do anything? Yep, you got it. Practice, practice, practice. This has been an introduction to Modern Language Association MLA format, 8th edition. How to, 1, format short and block quotes. 2, create parenthetical citations and a works cited. Our next lesson, how to clarify a quote's content, what it means, and omit, take out unnecessary words in a quote with the ellipsis and brackets. This video has been a presentation of My English Professor at YouTube. I am Nuala Mary Linka, aka Nunu, your friendly teacher guide. I hope this lesson has been useful to you. Thank you.